Good evening, Mr. Chandrasekaran. We meet in difficult times, at a time when this country has seen probably the worst air crash in recent times, at a time we can still hear probably the cries of help that may have gone out at that time. I want to ask you, Mr. Chandrasekaran, you said this was the most difficult time that you and your company have faced. Where were you when you first got the information?
On June 12th, on that day, I was in Bombay in my office. I was in an internal meeting when I first heard the news. It was quite shocking and something that is incomprehensible that suddenly you heard. And it took me a few seconds to gather myself. And then immediately I rushed to the airport to fly to Ahmedabad.
How did you hear about it? Was it a colleague?
It is a call that I got from someone. Hey, Chandra, what is happening? Then immediately I went out and my assistant was there. She switched on the TV. But I didn't wait for anything and immediately I rushed.
And what were your first thought? Did you get the information on what were the casualties like, what had happened, or was it just instinctive that you ran and left?
I knew immediately I have to go to Ahmedabad. So I asked the office to immediately arrange the flight. I will go to the airport. And then I started making calls as I was leaving office, sitting in the car and going to the airport. I was making calls to Air India, making calls to our people in Gujarat, our manager in Gujarat. There are many Tata companies. And so getting information piece by piece. And by the time I reached the airport and was getting into the flight, I knew the enormity. And I was also watching online and taking calls and trying to assemble people. And it was a very difficult situation. So I was trying to think, what should I be doing? Immediately, the thought came to me that immediately what we need a response team on the ground. And we need to have people. I didn't know how many Air India people will be there. So my thought was, while I called Air India people, I also called all our Tata colleagues. You're dealing with it. People are calling you at the same time because people want to know more. People think that I would know more, but I was actually like anyone else. So that's what happened.
Did you initially hope that there would be some survivors, or did you from the word go know that it was a bad crash?
No, I was like everyone else was hoping that people will survive. You were praying like everyone else. God, what is happening? And, somehow you hoped that people will survive because you have not seen the site. You are only hearing stories. So I was only hoping that damage will be there, but that people will survive, or how many will survive. These were thoughts that were going through my mind.
But there is anger amongst the families. They are demanding answers. Many people are totally taken aback. And if I just, you must have read these stories too. There was the Joshi family. The father was settled in London, in UK, was coming back to pick up the wife and their 3 children. Those pictures have been there across social media, across various media. And the entire family was wiped out. Then there is the case of, there was Arjun Manubhai Patolia, who came to just give his wife's ashes away. She had died earlier. He'd left his 2 daughters, 8 and 12, back in London only to do the last rites of his wife. And now his children are orphaned. What would you say to them today, these people?
I think it is the most horrific story that you can ever hear. It is such a heart-wrenching situation. It's very, very difficult to console anyone who has lost a mother, a father, a husband, a wife, a son. It is very, very difficult to console. Whatever you may say, it cannot be sufficient enough to console them from this loss. So all I can say is that I grieve with them as much as they do. And when I say this, I mean it for me and all my Tata colleagues. We just want to consider them as part of the Tata family for life.
But there is no life.
It is.
They have gone.
But the families that they live today, we just have to be with them. All we can promise is we will be with them and I will be with them. But it's very, very hard to console because you can't get the life back.
How would you be with them? In
Helping them in every which way, now and in the future.
Those two young girls, 8-year-old and 12-year-old, what are they going to do without their parents, and how will the Tata Group be with them?
So there are structures we want to put in place. One of the things that we have been thinking is to create a, say, for example, a AI171 trust, and then which will be available to them to look after. But there are many things, it's only not the financial need. There may be other needs. So you've got to think through and then create the trust and other functioning infrastructure so that we can be with these families. Some will not need any help, some will need some kind of a help, some will need emotional help. We don't know. We have to find this out. But the point is, it could happen to any one of us. It is very, very hard to explain what these people will be going through, and it's very hard for us to console.
What would you want to say to them today?
It is a extremely difficult situation where I have no words to express to console any one of them. I just deeply regret that this whole accident happened in a Tata-owned airline. And I feel very sorry. And all we can do is to be with them at this time. We grieve with them. And we do everything we can. मैं इतना बोलूँगा कि जो हुआ है वो अनफेथेबल है. हम बहुत रिग्रेट कर रहे हैं और आपके साथ ग्रीव कर रहे हैं और आपके लिए जो कुछ हम कर सकते हैं हम करना चाहते हैं. अभी इन दिस आवर ऑफ क्राइसिस और सब समय में, आने वाले समय में आपके लिए जो कुछ कर पाएंगे हम करेंगे.
Have you spoken to any of these families?
I only so far met the lone survivor, and now we plan to visit as many families as possible myself. And between me and my colleagues, we intend to visit all the families. But now currently our job is to help the families to come to Ahmedabad, collect the remains, and provide them some grief counseling and then all the way to the final rights. Currently, that's what we are doing. We have one Tata colleague as an angel deployed to work with each family. And there are 400 Tata people across companies in Ahmedabad. And what we're trying to do is to be with each of these families in the next few days, get through this stage. Then we need to meet them, we need to support them, we need to see what we can do and what we need to do.
Mr. Chandrasekhar, on the first day, there was a statement where you said you need a transparent investigation into what happened. I want to ask you, where have you reached with that probe? Because there would be one Tata investigation apart from the other investigations. So, what have you found so far?
See, this is a crisis or a tragedy of a gigantic proportion. It has affected everybody. Yes, the families are affected, but the whole country is affected in a manner of speaking. There is a lot of fear. There is a lot of anger. I can understand that. Personally, I have also traveled a lot. In my life, I used to travel 200 days internationally a year for 20 years. And I have faced flight diversions, flight cancellations, all kinds of issues. And every time one small thing happens, you get affected. And this I can understand what is the level of fear that would have set in. So everyone wants to know what happened. And I can tell you, I also want to know the same. Unless or otherwise we know what happened, there is no hope to fix it so that it doesn't happen again. If we know what has happened, then there is a chance to fix it so that it doesn't happen again. But we have to go through the process. Airline systems are quite complex, and airlines have been built with a lot of redundancy. If such redundancies are not there, these kind of incidents can happen very often. So the fact that these are rarity is because such systems are there, but still this occurred. So unless or otherwise we wait for the investigation, we can get into a lot of speculations. There are speculations about human error, speculation about airlines, speculation about engines, maintenance, all kinds. There are a lot of speculations and a lot of theories. But the fact that I know so far is this particular aircraft, AA171, that particular tail, has a clean history.
Has a clean
history. And the two engines, both engines, the right engine was a new engine put in March 2025. The left engine was last serviced in 2023 and due next maintenance check in 2025 December. And both the engine histories are clean. When I saw that, I couldn't find anything with the team. Both the pilots are exceptional pilots. And the captain, Sabarwal, has more than 11,500 hours of flying experience. And the first officer, Clive, has more than 3,400 hours of flying experience. What I hear from our colleagues is they were excellent pilots and great professionals. So we can't jump to any conclusions. And there are a lot of theories, and you see them in YouTube, you see them in media channels, you see them on other channels, and a lot of experts. So all I would say is that unless we wait for the investigations to come through, and I am told by all the experts that the black box and the recorders will definitely tell the story. And so we just have to wait for that. And before that, it's very important not to jump into any conclusion.
So if you're saying everything was perfect, the engines, one was new, one was due for servicing only by the end of the year, then what went wrong? There are two questions. There are two questions that are being speculated on. There are only 2% of air crashes worldwide where the crash happens in the ascending period of the aircraft. Only 2%. And this AI 171 was one of those flights where, while taking off, the crash happened. With such low data in terms of percentage probability, what happened?
See, Navika, as I said, I am not an expert to be able to decipher this. All I know is the facts, the records that I have seen. I am not to say this is ruled out, that is ruled out.
But you're the Tata Group, and you said you would have
I have
a separate investigation.
No, we can't do any separate.
Any preliminary?
No, we can't do any separate investigation. All the records will be with the DGCA, and the DGCA has set up those commissions, and they will do the investigation. There is no independent investigation possible.
So no preliminary probe by Air India itself, internal probe?
There is nothing we can do. We can only see our records.
Were there any red flags?
No.
Were there any maintenance red flags that had been put out by DGCA? We understand two show cause notices.
I have seen this record for these aircrafts and the engines and the pilot record. I sat with the team, discussed this, and I didn't see any red flags. Nor did they highlight any red flags.
But DGCA has fined you in the recent past, over the last maybe year or so, where there have been several fines that have been put on Air India for different kinds of red flags and maintenance issues. And I can read out to you these. The DGCA put a 30 lakh fine because Air India and Air India Express did not meet operational robustness, maintenance related delays. There have been different kinds of fines.
See, Navika, the point I am making is that what I am giving you, the information, is very specific to this tail number and these engines and this pilot and this incident. And any safety related issues, we take it very seriously. See, there are two things in the airline. One is very core, which is the safety, and there are other things that you have to do. And all I would say is that anything safety related, the first thing after we took over, and there are many things you yourself, there are many makeup issues that are there. Still, there are some IFEs don't work, some seats don't function. Okay, those are customer experience issues. We are trying to sort them out. They are different from safety issues. Anything that safety issues there, there is no way DGCA will allow us to fly. And with respect to this specific aircraft, what I have seen is what I have told you. But this is not to say anything more extra, because we need to wait for the investigation.
There are some reports that say that June 3rd and June 5th, there were two show cause notices from the DGCA.
See, anything other than this particular aircraft, we can talk about it separately. But all I am giving you data is only with respect to this incident, this aircraft, these engines, and these pilots.
I want to ask you, the Turkish technique maintaining Air India fleets, that has been raised as an issue that could probably be the cause in this case. How would you respond to that speculation?
None of the 787 Dreamliner aircraft, we have 33 of them. None of them are maintained by Technic. Predominantly, most of them are maintained in India by AESL or SIA Engineering. That is the engineering company, AESL, and SIA Engineering Company in Singapore. So these are the guys who are maintaining these aircrafts. They have nothing to do with any Turkish company for the 787 fleet.
For the 787s. You have almost 33 787s in your fleet. The Dreamliners are suddenly the bad boys in the fleet. There have been whistleblowers in the past who have raised many questions about the safety norms followed by Dreamliners. At any stage, have your people raised safety concerns on the Dreamliners to you?
See, practically speaking, there has never been a safety concern raised because Dreamliners have been operating globally for a very long time, from I think 2008 or 2009 or something like that. And Air India also procured them much before
You bought Air
we
India.
bought Air India. So it was bought most of these. I think when we bought Air India itself, we had 27 Dreamliners. And then we got additional 6 through Vistara. So Dreamliner specific complaint we have not received. So while we have ordered a large number of, in the new orders we have made a lot of order on A350, but we have also got options to buy 787. But there has never been a specific concern on the 787. But all these videos are also surfacing and they are doing a lot of viewing at this point in time.
My question to you is also about the fact that Boeing has had a series. My question to you is also about the fact that Boeing has had a series of bad press, if you want to call it that, but several questions that have been following them. In recent times, in fact, after the crash, there has been a meeting between you and the Boeing head visiting India. I want to understand from you, what was this meeting all about? Safety aspects of Boeing, are they a concern? And what is it that has been red flagged to Boeing in terms of the hardware, the aircraft themselves?
So I did connect with both Boeing and GE at the highest levels. And to be frank, their top team from both the companies traveled and met with us. What I have asked both of them, in parallel to the DGCA checks that we have gone through, I have asked them to check and tell us any issues are there in any of the aircrafts or engines.
What were your conversations with Stephanie Pope? Because many people are today talking about the spate of technical snags, in quotes, that have hit Air India in the recent week. Are these technical snags because of design issues, or are they regular stuff that often crop up?
See, as I said, the numbers that you have said comprises multiple groupings. Some are very deliberate grounding of planes because we had to go through the DGCA type checks. Then a certain number had to go through or cancel primarily because of this airspace closure and diversions and disruptions due to that and the knock-on effect. Then there is a third category. So since we have not explained all of this, so every cancellation has been reported in the media, and I don't blame the media. I totally hold Air India and our team to account that we have to do a better job of communication. Since that was not done, everything is reported as a technical snag. But none of these technical snags are of the nature that the aircraft cannot fly. It is some part missing, something missing so far. And this is not to say that something else I will not see in the future. So at this point in time, this is the status.
There is a, Tata.
So we have to give a very strong communication on a daily basis, at least for the time being, till such time the confidence is restored.
But Mr. Chandrasekaran, I want to ask you, you're talking about communication to the media. I'm talking about real communication to the customers waiting at airports. The communication link there is probably the weakest ever at this point in time, which is why you have frayed tempers, you have agitated families, you have people, expecting family coming from different locations internationally. And for most people, India doesn't begin when they land in India. India begins when they get into an Air India flight that is got a destination in India. What happens to that brand name, that complete faith in the brand Air India?
See, I can say that in each one of these areas, whether it is communication at the gate or communication at the counters or every aspect, there has been a vast improvement, but it is not where it should be. Still, there is a lot of gap. So we are on a transformation journey. We have done about 3 years. And in these 3 years, we have had to work on every dimension, whether it is in the fleet dimension, whether it is in engineering, whether it is maintenance, whether it is safety, whether it is customer service, technology. We have made progress in all dimensions, but nowhere we should be, we are where we should be. And we know we can get there, but it is taking time.
Let me ask you, Mr. Campbell, the CEO of Air India. Insensitivity, I don't know, to the power infinity, with his statement coming in on 13th of June, which is a plagiarized statement. Now, that is not something that we or anybody in India expects from Tata Group. Mr. Campbell's statement has been a complete copy-paste of a statement made after a crash in January in the United States of America. How can something like this pass the muster of the Tata Group?
I think there are a couple of answers here. The first one is currently the focus is about 5-6 days now. Our focus currently is on addressing the needs of all those affected and also get the stability. The second point I want to make is, I think we can split hairs over the words, but I think if you look into this spirit of what has been said, I think we should take it at this moment on what is the matter that he conveyed, and then start to address issues and let investigations get done.
But templated statements, almost AI generated, is that what people desire?
See, I have heard about this. I have not analyzed it word by word, but this is something we look into.
You look into. Let me also ask you, there have been issues that have been raised even in the past, ever since Operation Sindoor, about maintenance jobs being done by the Turkish Technic company. I want to ask you, will this, you said it's not Dreamliners that it impacts. Are there other planes that are maintained by them, and how are we going to address that issue?
See, there are maintenance agencies. There are many of them in different parts of the world. And these contracts have been set up long term or for a period of time. And as I said, all the 787s are between 3 or 4 agencies, none of which is the Turkish airline basis. And that is very much under discussion now. Not after the incident, much before.
Okay, so you were already working on that. Let me look at some of the political statements that have come up. The first one that I would want to refer to is Mr. Praful Patel, former civil aviation minister, who has brought in the angle of Singapore Airlines, which has a 25.1% stake in Air India. It's a shareholder, and Praful Patel has stated that it maintains a large number of Air India's wide-body aircraft. they have been silent so far. This is what Mr. Praful Patel said early today on his social media account. Since then, they've put out a statement, Singapore Airlines, that they have been in touch. I want to ask you, were one of the engines serviced by Singapore Airlines and their engineering division? And why have they been silent so far till Mr. Patel's tweet?
See, I can tell you, Singapore Airlines have been a great partner. And Singapore Airlines have been a great partner. And since we took over, they have helped us in many dimensions. Even some of the safety procedures, the best processes, we have taken from Singapore Airlines. We have taken it from Vistara. And many of the processes where we needed best-in-class benchmarks, they have helped us. And they have reached out even at this time. Their CEO is in constant touch with me. And whether it is in customer experience and any other process, they are always available. And very much they are in touch with us. And I wouldn't say anything negative. If I have to say anything about Singapore Airlines, they have been working with us closely. And they have been offering all the help they can.
But Mr. Praful Patel is somebody who has seen your tie-up with Singapore Airlines when you were Vistara and Singapore Airlines, and then of course Air India is something he's looked at very closely. And his comment on the silence of Singapore Airlines and the fact that your CEO of Air India is actually a nominee of Singapore Airlines does raise a few questions.
No, CEO is not a nominee of Singapore Airlines. In fact, when the CEO was hired by me, he had to quit Singapore Airlines and join Air India as an employee. And that time, Singapore Airlines did not have a stake. We owned 100% of Air India. And then when the Vistara merger happened with Singapore Airlines, with Air India, then Singapore Airlines got their 25% stake. So he's not a nominee of Singapore Airlines.
But the question on the silence still remains.
The silence of whom?
Singapore Airlines, as stated by a man who knows.
See, I don't know what he refers to by being silent. If he is referring to Singapore Airlines not putting out a press release or making a statement, I mean, I don't have any comment on that. But if you ask me whether Singapore Airlines have been
a good partner,
have they approached us or they offering us help, answer is absolutely yes.
Let me also pick up a statement that was put out by Member of Parliament Supriya Sule, who.
And then the other thing I want to also say is that the 787s were also bought by Air India in 2013, and I think Minister Patel was there at that time. I don't know when he was the minister. But these are things that happened 10 years ago, 13 years ago.
Yeah, when government-owned Air India ordered the Dreamliners.
Correct.
So, is there a question to Mr. Praful Patel?
No, I'm not asking any question. I'm not asking any question.
Is there a message?
I just got this tweet today. Then I said I didn't know what he was trying to say. I know him well. But I don't know what he meant. But the only point I want to make is that there is nothing wrong with Singapore Airlines as a partner. And they have been good partners over the last 3 years. And with respect to the Boeing 787 aircraft, they've been there for a long time.
One expression that has come out is that nobody was there when the cremation of Captain Sabharwal was happening, or some of the other crew members, employees, other people.
That's not true, Navika. We discussed it at length on the day before and who should be going for the rights for Sabharwal. The Chief Operating Officer of Air India was there. Our head of Tata Group CHR was there, and few more people were there from Tata Sons at different levels. A lot of Air India people were there. And we, as a group, it is not about just being visible in one location. There will be
For a
a
photo
senior
op.
person who will be there in all the locations, whether it is our crew member or non-crew member. That is why we have created this whole organization. Some will be in Bombay, some will be in Gujarat, some will be in other parts of India. But I don't want to say it for any publicity, but we will definitely visit all the families. All the top people among ourselves will visit all the families. And we have a method of doing that, and it is not for any big statement. So I think let's not make it a we care, we don't care. I mean, caring doesn't mean doing one thing. Caring is much deeper, and so I have also seen those tweets. I think it's best left there.
And to those families who have lost their loved ones, what would your message be today?
I would only say that we are grieving alongside you. And we want to be with you, and we want to support you in every which way possible and you desire. And we hope we can be with you and you can be part of the Tata family for life. And for that, we need to create the system, as I told you, and we'll work on that.
On that note, Mr. Chandrasekaran, very, very despondent times. We do hope the cloud lifts and we know the truth, as you said. Only the truth now will have the power to actually give us closure. In the meanwhile, from each of the 25 crore viewer family that we have in the Times Network, we would say that we are with those families. Sorry, we can't bring back their loved ones, but maybe some of the questions and the answers that you've given will give them closure.
See, the Tata Group over the last 150 years seen many crises. 2 world wars, the 26/11, now this crisis. Sometimes we have no control over preventing a crisis. And it happens. And as cruel as it can be. And that shakes the belief, that shakes the trust in an organization. Tata Group has come through all the times by showing character, by being honest, by being transparent. And that's what has preserved this group and preserved the trust of people in this group. I am a Tata product, and I have grown up with the values promoted by the group, be it the founder or what J.D. Tata stood for or Ratan Tata stood for. I've had much closer relationship with Ratan Tata. And we had a lot of friendship and mutual respect. But the values and the transparency, the compassion that has been shown by these people lives in the group. We are all inspired by that. The only thing I would say is that I am no JRD, I am no R&D. But we all are driven by these values and hope we will conduct ourselves and show the character, determination, so that everyone can be proud of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekaran. Thank you very much for speaking frankly and truthfully.